Now then, Beverley time once again, 5:15, not far away from the start at Kempton Park on the winner. It's a maiden, number 5, 13 runners, number 8, Armel is out. Up this 5 furlong track again, Stroll On, Ray Guest are going great guns at the moment. Favourite at 15 to 8, well back. 4's Cordite. Now, we heard earlier today that Cordite was very well supported at big prices and money continues to come. Meadway 6s, 9's Rosine, Fantasy Justifier 10s, 16's Sweet Amelie and Brave Imp 20s, along with Edward Elgar and Ruby Hull, 25s and bigger. The rest of them. Ray Guest going really well, isn't he? 2 wins at Sandown when I was there last week, and he's also continued in good form. And Stroll On looks to keep the run going, really. And there's plenty of support for this horse, despite the money for Cordite as well. So, 2 interesting horses.
Yeah, not a bad little maiden, actually. The case of Stroll On, 4th of 12 at Yarmouth. The 3rd horse home that day has since won a maiden, so that's given the form a boost. That was over 6 furlongs, but Stroll Was a little bit keen, she was in the early stages of the race, so probably the drop back to 5 won't be a problem, especially this is a pretty stiffish track here at Beverley. Solid enough form, but Cordite, as we mentioned earlier, the Michael Appleby runner, he's had just a 1-2-year-old winner this season, but albeit only from 10 runners, so not a huge example, so he's obviously got a really, really going place. He's a really upperly mobile trainer, and Cordite have been well backed, and not just for the fact that it's got that number 1 stall. Cordite ran well in a much hotter race, a decent maiden at York 10 days ago, where there were horses in the 80s, 90s rated going into that race. Outpaced all the way, but we'll come on for that, and this is a much weaker event. And the 3rd in is Meadway, a 7-to-1 chance, who went off for odds on debut back in May. Yeah. Couldn't cope with Susie's Connoisseur, who's now rated in the 90s. That wasn't a bad effort. But gilded since, and the absence since May is a concern. 4 months off is now it's a fair old break. But the others, Rosine, newcomer, likely on breeding to want more of a trip. For the bigger price ones, a little bit interested of Brave Imp, hasn't been seen since the big Chester meeting in May and didn't run particularly well that day, but was fairly strong in the market for what was a pretty decent maiden, and absence since there may have been a problem on that occasion, probably more one for the long term, but just one I'll be watching with a bit of interest.
Yeah, there might be 1 or 2 that have some interest here, worth keeping an eye on this race. I must admit, I like Stroll On. I know Cordite ran in a better race, but I just think Stroll On might be tough to beat with Robert Winston on board.
And plenty of Ray Guest to improve from 1st run to 2nd run.
Yeah, that's a big plus. And he's in good form. But the amble is Cordite, who comes from stall 1. And we're nearly ready, actually. This is the penultimate contest from Beverley, 5:50 to come, plus 8 from Kempton. Here's Malcolm.
So Fantasy Justifier goes into stall number 8. Red Beaver just walking forward to stall number 4. Looks like Meadway is still out of line from the 14 box as well. It's going to be a Red Beaver next. Walking up now under Natalia Gemalova. Goes in okay, so Meadway to complete the lineup in the widest draw of all. Meadway and Royston French to stall number 14. Stall hands emerging from the front. That's it, we're set. They're off. They're racing for the Play Rainbow Riches at totepool.com. Maiden Stakes. Good fast start out in the centre of the track by Rosine, also showing plenty of speed. Fantasy Justifier, Red Beaver's up with a pace, so too Comanche Grey, and Brave Imp got a good start on the extreme left. On the extreme right, Meadway's right up with the pace as well. It's Fantasy Justifier in the red and white half jacket, near side Meadway in purple and yellow, and the far side with the red cap, red epaulets is Red Beaver. Tucked in behind those, the beige jacket of Brave Imp in company with Rosine in black with the yellow star and a red cap. Traditional makes ground green and beige colours just behind the pace as they head back towards the final couple of furlongs. Fantasy Justifier, that's still there with Red Beaver. The far side Brave Imp. Rosine travelling okay near side with Traditional L. Meadway kept going. Behind behind those Cordites trying to finish off in black and pale blue colours, and from the back Strolon's getting going very late, but inside the final furlong they go now, and hitting the front Rosine goes on, opens up by a couple of lengths to Brave Imp in second. Here comes Cordite beginning to rattle home. They race up towards the line, and it's still Rosine in front to Cordite. Rosine's got there to Cordite in second, Brave Imp for third, tight behind Strolon, might have grabbed fourth from the fast finishing Edward Elgar and Red Beaver.
Now, Rosine has won, newcomer for David Barron and Graham Gibbons. Cordite second. He's held back by inexperience on debut. He's a bit more experienced, but I think he was held back by his lack of, well, should we say track craft, lack of experience, whatever you want to say. I think that held him back a little bit because it just took an age to pick up. He'll win soon, and it's worth noting that there was plenty of money for him today, and you see him in another maiden fairly shortly, I thought, and he'll be worth backing for me. I think Strolon was disappointing, had every chance, always niggled along a long way out. But it was a good performance for Rosine. She knew her job. She got first run on Cordite. It took an age to get organised, and when he did, he ran around a bit.
Yeah, good money today for Rosine. It was a good purchase as well. Given that on breeding, a 6th furlong will be absolutely no problem at all. And on performance too, we'll see it from the start. Rosine broke from stall 7, the winner, and certainly seemed to know her job in keeping with the money for her. Cordite has ran another good race in keeping with the support for Cordite in the, well, all day today really. Again, like the winner, will have no trouble at all with a 6th furlong. The favourite was disappointed, Strolon. Maybe a little bit short of room on a couple of occasions, having a slight barging match with Cordite there in the middle of the field, but in truth, Strolon never really going at all, and Rob Winston took her towards the outside to try and get a bit of racing room. Didn't make any difference, never really going at all.
Did she?
But a decent run by Brave Imp, who has been off the track since Chester back in May when there was money for him on that occasion. Didn't run well then, but ran a lot better here. And probably, unlike the first two, Brave Imp probably just be staying at 5 furlongs. Should come on for this run, but just tied up in the final furlong or so. But the first two have done well here because the runner up Cordite has had to weave his way through somewhat. Toby Atkinson getting and going towards the outside, but the horses just wanted to lug in a little bit, closing the gap all the time, but just failing to get there by about 3 parts of length. The first 3 are clear, and the first 3 are probably quite decent for this sort of grade.
Possibly, yeah. I certainly like the second horse. The winner's obviously okay, making a debut. No, I'd agree. I think this is an all right little contest. Travelled well actually. Rosine, the head on really showed. Everyone else is running away, and Given is sat motionless in the red cap.
Yeah, always going really well. Certainly think they know her job, and some breeding more of a trip will be no problem at all. But she's got the speed for 5 here today. Brave Imp has ran well, ran a lot better here than the Chester, and probably doesn't want to go any further at this stage. Cordite stayed on well. They're full clear from the remainder, and a disappointing one by Strolon, who surely is better than that.
Yeah, you'd think so. It's disappointing from Strolon. There's the winner though. Nice performance.